The second piece. Some of us agree with it, some of us disagree with it, but it's part of who we are. Our family. Our family has a big influence in our foundation, in our basic foundation of who we are. Lots of influence in there. So for a minute, I'm going to take off, and I'm going to talk about one specific set of our family that has the most influence out of everybody. And that is parents. Parents, our job is to be able to create an environment to help our children grow physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's not always going to be fun. God didn't call us to be their friends all the time. There'll be plenty of time and plenty of opportunity for you to be their friend and to be able to enjoy some great times. And you can do all of that. But our most important job is to be able to develop them spiritually. Not the church, not the community, not their best friends, but as parents. That's one of the things I talk about in child dedication. We talk about in child dedication is what do you want your kids to be when they grow up? Do you want them to be a superstar? Do you want to be this world-famous athlete, this gentleman or this lady that is part of this incredible orchestra? Those are things. In the big scheme of things, they don't really mean much. What kind of character do you want them to have when they leave your house? Do you want them to be compassionate? Do you want them to be loving? Do you want them to be caring? Those are things and traits that we talk about and being able to raise them spiritually. Now, here's the hard part, and a little bit of veggies here, is I see your kids. I see a lot of your kids, and I see them up in children's church, and I get to talk to them. Kids are so truthful. They don't hide anything. It doesn't matter what's going on at your house. A lot of times, I find out about it. God wants us as parents not to live by the old cliche, do as I say, not as I do, because that doesn't work. Because you can say that all you want, they model you. Now here's the question. Who here remembers saying, I'll never, ever be like my mom and dad? Who's ever said that? Who has turned around and said, oh my gosh, I am my mom or my dad? It happens. It is there. It is the biggest thing. We need to model, not say. We need to do what we expect and what we want our children to be able to do. Let's look in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 6. It tells us pretty clear. It says, these commandments I give to you are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you get up. Tie them as symbols on the hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. It didn't say, sit down and have a one-way discussion with your kid about that. It said, when you need to be that role model. You need to be that role model. And unfortunately, I see a lot of things. We use our Bibles a lot in children's ministry. We have your kids for about 40 hours a week, or about 40 hours a year. You have your kids for about 3,000 hours a year, besides sleeping and school and stuff like that. I ask your children to be able to open up their Bible. They have no clue what it means to be able to open up a Bible. I ask them to pray. A lot of them have no clue how to pray. What are you really modeling for your kids? As parents, you need to think about their foundation and what kind of foundation you're building on them. The second part of that is creating an open relationship with your kids. One that they can talk to you at any time, any place, anywhere, about anything. the good and the bad. That is so critically important. And that starts when they are days old. And I have a living example of that one. My oldest son, you guys don't know him a lot. When we moved here, he was a senior in high school. My oldest son, last 5 years, he's made some very bad decisions in his life. But we've always had a relationship where he could call and talk to us anytime, any place, anywhere. Well, he's made a decision that's ended him up in jail. So he's currently serving time in Florida for a pretty bad thing that's going to affect the rest of his life. But you know who the first person was that he called when he got arrested? It was his dad. Who's the one that when he calls up from jail at 8 o'clock in the morning, because that's when he could call, and he yells at you and he tells you, I hate you. You're the reason why I'm in jail. You listen to him, and then you just tell him, I love you. But it pays off, guys. I got to say it pays off. We got a 5-page letter from him this last Friday. And in his time in jail, and it's just really been the last month, that he has rededicated his life, and he is baptized, and he is on fire right now within the circumstances he can, living for Jesus. So he had a foundation. He built another one of sand, but now he's working back towards that because that didn't change. And you have to have that relationship. The last part is all you grandparents out there, don't think that you don't have influence over your grandchildren. That's what I'm just going to tell you right now. I wouldn't be up here today if it wasn't for my grandpa and grandma. Because my family, I don't talk about them much because really, there's nothing really good to talk about them. But because of my grandpa and grandma, I'm here today through their prayer. Because of my grandpa and grandma, actually it was probably an hour ago now, standing on a stage, not much like mine, is my sister preaching to a congregation as well. And it's because of grandparents praying us through a horrible situation that we lived through. So grandparents, you have power. More power to help create and to pray through the spirit aspect of the foundation of your grandchildren. So don't forget that.